And we're live. Pep Talk UK. Breaking news, big news today. I'm joined by, as ever, J Alby. How are you, Jay?
Evening, all good, Joe. How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Even better knowing we're one step closer, and it's probably just half a step away from the biggest fight, certainly of my lifetime, being announced. Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. The breaking news today is confirmed by Eddie Hearn. Is that it's Saudi Arabia on the 14th of August. It's confirming now what we've thought for a long time now. But yeah, was you shocked by what he said, Jay? Did you think it'd be in a formal announcement? And what's your opinions on what we heard in that interview with Eddie Hearn a couple of hours ago?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say everyone subscribe and like the channel this evening. Yeah, no, I think I wasn't too surprised. We spoke last week about it. Probably would be announced maybe last week. So yeah, no, I'm not too surprised. I thought it might have been Saturday. There's not really been an official announcement, but it's pretty much what Eddie said today. The 14th of August in Saudi Arabia looks pretty much concreted in. I think it's something to look forward to. I think everyone was like kind of like getting it. Went a bit lukewarm, didn't it? The fight. I think it started going down the other end. I think it peaked at the beginning of the year after AJ beat Ruiz, not Ruiz, beat Pulev, and everyone thought, oh, the fight's definitely going to be announced pretty time soon. And then in the last like month or two, it's kind of died down a little bit, dragged on. Everyone kind of lost a little bit of faith. But now, I think now once it gets announced properly, and now the wheels are in motion, I think everyone's going to look forward to it. And like everyone said, it's going to be the biggest fight of the year by far, and
Yeah,
of the last 10
certainly.
years.
Definitely. And we'll come on to that later about how actually big this fight is. So guys, make sure you smash that like button, get your reactions in to it being the 14th of August in Saudi Arabia. Are you absolutely gutted that we won't see it from UK in the UK? If you are a fellow Brit, let us know what you think. We thought it was going to be in Saudi Arabia. We thought it for a long time now. It looks like it wouldn't be feasible to have it in front of 100,000 fans in Saudi Arabia. And look, Eddie Hearn did say it's Eid at the moment, isn't it? I think it's today, Eid. So it probably won't get announced for another couple of days. My guess is that it will probably be announced Monday, maybe very early next week. I think formal announcement, as was said on the interview today about that lovely poster. I can't wait to see what that poster will be. Stick it out on Top Rank socials, Matchroom socials, and Queensbury socials. But yeah, apparently they want to build a brand new stadium like they did for the AJ Ruiz 2 fight. And here we go. We're joined by Kenny. Kenny,
Hi
how are you,
guys,
mate?
hold
Evening,
on two
Ken.
seconds. I can't. I want to put the volume up.
No problem. No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
got you perfect, mate. Just
Hello?
just talking about.
Are you on mute again?
No.
Now again? Oh, no, he's gone. He'll come back. But yeah, Jay, what do you think? New stadium, nice new stadium. Hopefully, a lovely spectacle like we saw last week with Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah. Firstly, Kenny's Wi-Fi stuttering like Arsenal, as we've seen this season in the Premiership. So we'll see you in a minute, Kenny. Yeah. No, I think a stadium will be built. Like Eddie said, it was built for the Andy Ruiz fight. This fight's much bigger than the Andy Ruiz fight, so it's definitely worthy of a stadium. I'm happy it's in Saudi Arabia. Anywhere outside the UK, I wanted it to be there because the timing is the same as the UK. When the fight's on, it'd be about 9:30, 10 o'clock UK time, and that's what everyone wants in the UK if it wasn't going to be staged over here. So I think that's perfect. Eddie said then have the return match in December. My prediction: New Year's Eve, ready to go into next year. Wembley, New
Ooh.
Year's Eve. I would definitely be up for that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Look, Pet Talk UK. Here we go. AJ showed Pro B's his phone when King Khalid called before the interview took place. Like it's massive. And Eddie was saying today when they first wanted to stage the AJ Ruiz 2, the second fight between the two in Saudi, he kind of laughed it off and like he didn't think it would happen. But no, They staged a massive event. It looked fantastic. The Clash of the Dunes on the early part of December 2019. And now it looks like 18 months on, they're going to host the biggest fight there is in boxing. H Money Boxing, Pep Talk UK, salute. I will give you a salute, H Money. But yeah, Jay, how big is it for Saudi?
Massive. Yeah, they're taking over the world. We saw the WWE event that Tyson Fury was in. I think it was last year or the year before. We obviously saw the Andy Ruiz fight. I think in Saudi Arabia they're looking to make a statement, and like I said, anywhere outside the UK, that's where I wanted it, just for the times really, and also for it was a great event, the Andy Ruiz fight, and I think this fight would be even bigger. The undercard would be great, and also the landscape of the heavyweight division will play out. Like Eddie Hearn said, Usyk and Joyce can then play out. Other fights can play out, like Hrgovic. So we need this fight announced just for boxing, really, for the heavyweight division. So it's a great sign all round.
Definitely. Kenny, can you hear us now?
Yes, definitely. I came with the wrong headphones. I just want to say thanks for having me on, because I told Pro Breeze that I've got an Arsenal Man United podcast at 7:00. But I just obviously, because of the excitement, I just want to see your face, Joe, and I want to see Jay's face because see the excitement. Because the thing I was talking about, the UK tour, and then my dream, we can finally have a UK tour. We can go to every corner of Great Britain. We go to Northern Ireland. We can go to Cardiff. We can go to like Manchester, Birmingham, London, Leeds, Liverpool, Sheffield,
Isle of Wight.
Isle of Wight, of course. Yeah, Isle of Wight. We can go to their hometowns, Watford, go to Manchester or Manchester with Times Vision. I've got it all planned out. BBC Studios, Breakfast TV, GMB, This Morning. Not Loose Swimming, that's a horrible show. But you can go to Sky Sports, BT Studios, BBC Talk Sport. Let's just promote the granny out of this. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. And first of all, Kenny, before we go any further with AJ Fury, I just want to say congratulations on last night and doing West Ham a favour in beating Chelsea. So, yeah, you had to win one every so often, didn't you? So
we hadn't beaten Chelsea since Robin van Persie got a hat trick, and Theo Walcott Theo Walcott got one of the goals, and so it was one of those things where I didn't see it happen. It was probably our best defensive performance. Attacking wise, we were terrible, and Chelsea, I don't know. I think they were just it was the equivalent of a sympathy thing, but obviously children are watching. But the situation. A sympathy something, and we thought, okay, so our lucky day. We took advantage, but West Ham have still got big games. They've got to win themselves. So we've done you a 100%.
Favour. You did do us a favour. Now it's down to West Ham, but it's a double whammy because 14th of August, Saudi Arabia. Eddie Hearn confirmed it today, obviously, and I think the fact that Frank Warren said it yesterday as well just makes it like a little bit more concrete and it makes me a lot more confident. But what do you think, Kenny? Saudi Arabia, obviously, we thought it was happening there. Now it's confirmed, and the 14th of August, a bit later than we initially thought.
Well, it's the next best thing. Next best thing, because you've got to remember one thing: you have to be able to host the event. We've had loads of history. Yeah. We've had history of a lot of situations where. Remember, people have said they're going to host an event, and then you go to these arenas. They haven't got government approval. They haven't got planning permission. They haven't got local businessmen who to put the money up. So the fighters are going, "What's going on here?" Blah blah. And so the most important thing is we know that if you go to a place like Saudi Arabia, there's money there. The money's there. There's a businessman there. They know they're going to make their money back in terms of like ticket sales. The industry, because you've got people from America, you've got people from obviously Great Britain, but you've got the world's press coming over for a massive sporting event, the biggest sporting event in British boxing, and you're going to have a situation where Boris Johnson is going to relax the travel rules, tourist nations. You're going to have going to have hotels, big business. Everyone wins. And boxing fans, really and truly, we're going to find out who is the best in the world. Obviously, the best is British, but it's now basically like a derby match, but basically in a foreign country.
100%. And Haydamu says it's Eid. That's why they haven't announced it. I just said that before you come on, Kenny. Yeah, so I think it's Eid today. And obviously the Saudis, I think, will be celebrating that. So once that's all finished, Eddie Hearn said they've wrote to all the governing bodies, making sure that that's the day. So it looks like the ball is rolling, and I'm predicting a early next week full-on press announcement. And hopefully, Kenny, we can get an announcement on that huge press tour that we so badly...
It has to happen. Has to happen.
Definitely. 100%. And guys, smash that like button. Pep Talk UK, get your comments coming in. Matthew De Souza says, 50 degree heat, here we come. Redion said today it would be about 24 in his interview. So about 24 degrees. And he said that isn't atrocious, but they are looking to build a stadium for it. And Jay, what do you think? Do you think it needs to be bigger and better than the AJ Ruiz one? Because that was a good stadium. It was a really good stadium, really good arena. But do you think the scale of the event requires a bigger and better stadium?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, definitely. I think we would all agree there that it's going to be a much bigger event than the Andy Ruiz 2 fight. As much as it was a big event and AJ needed the win on that night, but like Kenny said, this is the best of British, the best of the world, the biggest fight probably the last 20, 30 years easily. Undisputed, heavyweight, the top of the weights, the top of boxing. It's going to have the best event. I think it's definitely going to need a stadium, get some aircon in there, best conditions for the fighters. You want the best conditions on the night for the fighters. You want the best fight that the fans can get. So I'm excited. I'm excited that Eddie's quite insistent. There's going to be 2 fights this year as well. Imagine that. That would be a treat after the year everyone's had with COVID and that this year to have 2 massive heavyweight fights like that. But let's get the first fight out of the way first. Then, yeah, let's get that tour going, Kenny. It's definitely going to be a world tour. So the UK tour will be going. So yeah, let's get the wheels spinning.
100%. And hey, Damu, great question. Fury versus Joshua or Joshua versus Fury? I'll ask you both this one. What's your gut instinct, Kenny? Is it going to be Fury versus Joshua or Joshua versus Fury when we see that big poster sprayed across social media at some point next week?
You're talking to a massive Tyson Fury fan, and you're talking about admirer of Anthony Joshua. Obviously, you well know, my favourite heavyweight is Dillian White. But in terms of like, I think what the situation is that I think realistically, Tyson Fury is the people's champion. He's equivalent of if you talk about Brazil in the 60s and the 50s and 60s, Pele and Garrincha. Garrincha is the man of the people. Joshua is the establishment. Pele is the establishment. Well, Joshua's Pele, Tyson Fury's Garrincha. So basically, I can only see a situation. The headline's always going to be, for me, Joshua versus Fury, because Joshua is a business in itself. Joshua's a limited company. Tyson Fury's made a lot of money, but if you talk about, let's just say, Anthony Joshua could fill a stadium. You know what I mean? He could fill he could fill big stadiums across the world. I'm not saying Tyson Fury can't, but evidence says he hasn't been able to fill massive arenas. Okay
then. All right. Jay, same question to you, mate. Is it going to be Fury Joshua or Joshua Fury?
Well, it depends. I think depends what platform you're looking at. BT, it's going to be Fury versus Joshua. Sky and DAZN, it's going to be Joshua versus Fury. And I think deservedly so. I think it's that magnitude of a fight that both men deserve to be the A side and the B side. Because on BT and obviously with a top rank, Fury's going to be the A side, and then with DAZN and Sky, it's going to be Anthony Joshua. So I think it's fair that both men rightly get their name first in some way, depending what broadcast you're looking at. And I think, yeah, if any fight deserved it, this is the fight. No one can argue. Fury brings, like Ken said, he's the people's champion. He's the lineal champion, as he tells everybody. He's a WBC champ, so he brings just as much to the table as Joshua. Joshua does bring a couple more titles, but it's for all the marbles, so no one can argue about it. It's I think it's a great opportunity, and I think just depends what platform it's on. That's whose name's going to be first. But yeah, I'm just excited. And I do agree with Kenny on the aspect that Joshua can fill any stadium. Fury does struggle a little bit. If you pick, let's say Otten Wallen when Fury fought Wallen, I don't think Fury could have sold Wembley out, but AJ, I think he probably would sell Wembley with that sort of opponent just because of the name and that. But I think it's an even fight. Everything should be 50-50, and I'm excited.
Okay, yeah, no, obviously we're all excited for that, and it's interesting what you say about the numbers that they both do in stadiums, because although we've seen Joshua fill up Wembley Stadium twice now, I think it is Cardiff a couple of times, we haven't seen Fury being given the opportunity to do that. So I'd be really interested to see how it's sold, because if I remember rightly, the Povetkin fight didn't actually go, like, tickets didn't go straight away. I think there were still tickets for sale quite close to the fight, because I think I got my tickets for the fight, I think about 2 weeks before the fight. And when it was the Klitschko fight, it was obviously, I tried to get tickets and it was like bang, 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 bang. It was, you had to have your finger right on the pulse for that one.
Sorry, Joe. I had no problem getting tickets for that fight.
Oh, yeah. Rub it in, why don't you? Rub it in, why don't you?
Well, you were above us at the table, West. So,
no, brilliant. So, Kenny, do you think that if I don't know, Fury wants to fight in the UK again after these AJ fights, win or lose, do you think he will be able to fill up stadiums now? Now he's undeniable that his profile's grown since he's fought Wilder.
If he wins, yes. If he wins and he's the undisputed heavyweight champion, not a problem. But the thing is, I still don't think that Tyson Fury's got AJ's selling style, and I think it's not him as a person, because his personality is infectious. He says things tongue in cheek, and he doesn't want to be friends with his opponents, even though he probably is out the ring. But it's his fighting style, really. There's this perception that Tyson Fury wants to torture you mentally in the ring. As he said, he said about Deontay Wilder, I've got his heart and his soul in my pocket, and I'll decide when he can have it back. And I think that's the sort of thing. Like Joshua, Joshua's an explosive fighter, and British boxing fans want to see the opponent unconscious. So it's we discussed as well a couple of days ago, the situation about fighters quitting or being pulled out by a corner. Obviously, we know for the medical reasons, because we love boxing and being around boxers, we want them to be well. But fighters, at the end of the day, it's like a lion and a gladiator, and they want someone to be killed. Although in real terms, we want someone knocked to the floor. And Joshua knocks his opponents out in a higher percentage than Tyson does.
Okay, then. So if Tyson Fury knocks out Anthony Joshua in emphatic fashion, do you think, Jay, that Tyson Fury will be a bigger commodity than AJ ever was?
Firstly, let's go back. I think when Fury beat Klitschko, I don't think he was as big as a draw as what he is now. So when I said about selling out stadiums like AJ, I'm meaning obviously when he beat Klitschko and got to the world title for the first time. But since he come back with his story and his mental health, because before he beat Klitschko, like we saw, no one greeted him when he come back. He didn't get a hero's welcome. The fans really were divided on him, like, quite bad. So, but since he come back with his story, and then with the 2 fights with Wilder, right now, I'd say they are 50-50, but in different aspects. Like Kenny said, AJ's more of the commercial side. Tyson's more of the personality side. AJ has got a personality. I'm not saying he hasn't got a personality, but he's more of a businessman, very quiet, private, just gets on with the job. Tyson's more outgoing. He's more He's out there on Instagram. He's out there in the limelight. He's having a good time. Like Kenny says, he's taking people's souls and walking around America with it in his pocket. Yeah, I think they both bring different things to the table, and that's why it's definitely 50-50. And it's very unique. You must agree, for two UK heavyweights to be on this platform. Plus, we got Dillian White, who's just behind. He's come back with a great win not long ago. Throw him in the mix. It's great stuff for heavyweight boxing in general, but for British heavyweight boxing, it's definitely great stuff. And fight-wise, I don't know how it's going to go. We'll probably debate it more as the times go on and that. But I think that Fury proved in his last fight against Deontay Wilder he's got another dimension. So I'm really excited to see Tyson fight again. No matter who it was, AJ or anyone, I was really impressed with that performance against Deontay Wilder, the second one. And Anthony Joshua's shown in his last two fights, he's got different tools. He can box. I liked some of his movements. He done some Floyd Mayweather tricks in his last fight against Pulev. Yeah, it's a really, really interesting fight, and a fight I'm excited for. And yeah, let's go, baby.
100%. That's the mentality of everyone, though, isn't it? But this is an interesting comment from Dino. Dino says Fury is global, AJ is UK. Do you agree with that, Kenny?
Absolutely not, because if you speak to like our good friend Benji, he will disagree with that, and I think slightly as well. AJ, I think I can understand where they're coming from because of the rapport and the way Fury was greeted when he was in the United States, especially in Texas, by the Mexican Americans, and a few Irish Americans as well. But there's nothing to say that Joshua can't get that. Joshua wouldn't be able to transfer it as well. I generally, there's a lot of people who argue me and say that that I was wrong to assume that Joshua only had the European and British. Let's face it, Joshua, like I said, he was headlined really well for the first fight with Ruiz. And Eddie Hearn now, he's got a foot in his door with DAZN. There is no doubt that Eddie Hearn would market this guy. He's telling everyone who listens in America the best fighters and the most marketable fighters, the biggest name in boxing are Canelo and Anthony Joshua, and he boasts of the fact that he's got both of them. And I think very few people in world boxing will argue what Eddie just said. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. But I'll see some comments here saying about if Joshua isn't big in America, but I just want to know if you're an American boxing fan. And obviously, we're UK boxing fans, and we see it as a 50-50 fight, or thereabouts. It's a close fight. It's an incredible fight, and that's why we all want to see it. But if you're an American boxing fan, you've seen Fury get a draw against Wilder, knock him out in the second fight, arguably beat Wilder in the first fight, and then you've seen Joshua get knocked out by Andy Ruiz in America. So, Jay, do you think? What do you think? Do you think that the Americans will probably make Fury the favourite and see it differently to how we see it?
Yeah, because if you think about it, Fury, he was very, very intelligent when he come back after his break. When he went with Top Rank, he was very clever in what he done globally, in the aspect that, like I said, he went with the WWE. So that got a lot of American people. WWE is huge, and it's also huge worldwide, not just in America. And in Saudi Arabia, when they held that event, that's what makes this event so unique in Saudi Arabia, because Fury's going to be known to the Saudis. They love him. Also, the Saudis love AJ, because when AJ fought Ruiz, it was just really like the Saudis wanted AJ there. It doesn't matter who AJ was fighting. It was just, they wanted AJ. This time, it's both guys. Do you know what I mean? Tyson's going to be treated like a king. AJ's going to be treated like a king. So that gets the Saudi people more into it. So globally, Tyson Fury done a great job going in with the WWE. And also, don't forget, them two great fights that he had with Deontay Wilder. He shook the world in the first one when he got up in the 12th round and it was a draw. Everyone thought he was going to get sparked down just because the result went to a draw and he beat him in the second fight. Let's not forget, before that fight, everyone thought he was going to get banged out. So, and then in the second fight, to absolutely destroy Deontay Wilder and shook the world to its core. Let's get it right. He absolutely, everyone thought if Tyson was going to win, it was going to be in points. But the way that he manhandled him, do you know what I mean? Literally, like he said, he took the man's soul. So, I think Tyson done a great job globally to be worldwide recognised. AJ, I think he is worldwide known, maybe not to the scale that Tyson is at the moment due to, like I said, the activities Tyson's been doing. But AJ, he was in the Olympics. That's shown worldwide. He is a role model in quite a few other countries, obviously Africa and that. To be fair, like I said, both men are great dance partners for each other. They both bring a lot to the table. That's what the deal is, 50-50 and then 60-40 to the winner in the rematch, which you can't argue with that. That's the fairest way you're going to get it. And that's fantastic. I think it's absolutely amazing. And I'm just so excited that the fight's going to be on UK time at a really good time, because I think that's what the fans deserve. If it wasn't going to be in the UK, that is what we deserve. And I think the end of the year, if we get that far, the rematch will definitely be in the UK. So yeah, I'm just proper excited.
Yeah, same. I certainly hope so. And look, if we see the comments here, it's like we see Gregory Small says the Americans defo see Fury winning this fight. Matthew De Souza says 50-50 Fury can beat AJ numerous ways. Well, I can't see AJ winning unless Fury is complacent. Ace of Yisuen. Oh, sorry, Ace. I don't know how to pronounce that one. AJ is much more known worldwide. So yeah, do you think there's a worry, Kenny, that a group of people maybe underestimated Anthony Joshua going into this fight?
Oh, 100%, 100%. If you speak to every boxing, expert. You know, Joe Calzaghe has Fury winning this. Mike Tyson has Fury winning this. Roy Jones Jr. has Fury winning this. Like I said, Roach has Fury winning this. And you've got, if you speak to any British fighters, you speak to Frank Warren, he has Fury winning this. David Haye isn't to the committee. He's probably going towards AJ, but Barry Jones, respected commentator. He was at the first Deontay Wilder fight. He's going to have Fury winning this. Matthew Macklin will definitely be the same. Tony Bellew, who's a friend of AJ, generally believes that AJ has to take him out, and if he doesn't take him out, then Fury will like go to a points victory. So it's one of those things where AJ, to a lot of boxing experts, is very much the underdog because of Fury's superior, excellent skills and adaptability. But if you speak to boxing fans or people, the majority of people are going to watch the fight, AJ be the favourite because of knock explosive knockout. So it's very different, because so if you have a poll right now and you took out the boxing fans and the boxing experts and you just ask someone who's just loves boxing but doesn't love it and doesn't live and breathe it like probably all three of us, they probably have AJ 60-40.
Is that a worry? Because obviously Fury for his whole career has been the underdog. All his biggest fights, he's been the underdog. If he goes in it there as a slight favourite, do you think we could see a different mentality from Tyson Fury?
The thing with Tyson Fury, the thing about it is that his attitude is like, they're just a man with boxing gloves, and I refuse to lose to anyone, and that's a very good attitude for Tyson to have. But I sense overconfidence. I'm worried about it because I'm a massive Fury fan as well. I hear Sugar Hill saying the same sort of things. His dad, his brother, they're all saying this is going to be AJ's easiest fight. Sorry, Tyson's easiest fight. And that he's and if it goes past 3 rounds, you'd be surprised. So you don't really see much from AJ. AJ, I think AJ is one of the situations is that maybe if you look at AJ's body language, he accepts that this is a fight he could really lose. He could lose everything. Now, when someone's got nothing to lose, then they're a dangerous person. Yeah. I think I still have serious concerns about his camp because I know Rob McCracken is going to be going to the Olympics in Tokyo. It's going to happen. He is the head of GB boxing. He has to look after the fighters, do his coordination. Plus, he's got to do AJ. Now, for a fight like this, AJ needs his undivided attention from his coach. That's what
100%. Yeah. And obviously, I think the Olympics finishes on the 7th. Yeah. So he's only really going to get. Obviously, he'll have, I should think, the months leading up to the fight with AJ, Robert Kraken, we're talking about now. But then he's going to be spending probably a good month away from Joshua as he's preparing for the Olympics. Because, as we know, it isn't just the Olympics. It's the preparation, because he's got to prepare these great fighters like Pat McCormack, Fraser Clark, all our Olympic prospects.
Sorry, Joe. Sorry to cut you.
Go on, mate.
I'm doing a football podcast, so I don't know what if you're around in about an hour and a bit. Is it all right to jump back on?
Yeah, if we're still on, mate, jump back on and enjoy the football podcast. Ken, cheers, mate. Again.
Yeah, but remember, goodbye goodbye may not be forever. I might sneak back on. But thanks for having me anyway. I had to see both your faces, excitement that it's finally happened.
Good to see you, Ken.
We're actually allowed to talk about it as well. You know what I mean?
I know.
So
yeah, cheers, mate. Cheers, thanks, Kenny. Cheers. So, I was just saying, Jay, about the whole camp, because it would be very turbulent for AJ, won't it? Because he'll have Robert Kraken will have to share his expertise with other trainers, because he has to, because in the 3 weeks leading up to the fight, he will definitely be away in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And for the months leading up to the fight, he will have to play some part in the Team GB setup, because he is the head coach. So how do you think that will affect Anthony Joshua's training camp?
Time will tell, I guess. We won't know, will we? We've not seen the situation for AJ before. I think AJ's professional. Is it Angel Fernandez he's got in his corner now?
Yeah,
I think depending. Look, they've probably been training since I'd say January for this fight. He's known about it. Preparations would have been in. So look, just say if they've been training since January, Rob's probably going to be away about a month. They've probably had 6 months building a game plan and working together. So if you just working solidly for 6 months, and then for a month he's not there, there's 6 months groundwork been put in. So it's not like a scenario where they've got 3 months training camp. They're going to do like 6 to 8 weeks and then Rob's going to be gone off. They've been planning this for a while. I think since the beginning of the year, they've definitely been in talks, and both guys have been training since then for each other. So I don't think it could be as bad as it could have been, but obviously it's not an ideal situation for AJ. I'm sure he's got enough backup there. Going into the fight, I would say that Rob's got great experience with AJ, and I think that's a key part that he's going to be there on the fight on the 14th. I think that definitely gives AJ an advantage there, but time will tell, Joe. I'm not too sure, really, as we're not going to know until the night, but I think AJ should do the same approach as Canelo in this fight with Tyson Fury, just on the way that I know what you were going on with Ken about saying, like the way Fury might approach this fighting AJ. I think take a leaf out of the weekend. Look at them uppercuts. We know that AJ's got great uppercuts. Tyson sometimes leans forward. Him and Billy Joe's style similar. So I think the approach that AJ will be taking, I think, might be similar to what we saw at the weekend with Canelo.
Yeah, definitely. And I just think mentality-wise, we're like the mental state of both fighters will be huge and will play a huge part, because if there's that tiny little doubt in AJ's mind about, like my trainer, my friend, Rob McCracken, a man who I trust so much, and we saw the trust in him with sticking with him in between the first and second Ruiz fight. We saw the trust with him in the corner when AJ was concussed in the first Ruiz fight, asking him for his advice. That was really telling. And so it's going to be absolutely huge. I'll just read some comments here. Jan Jansen says Tyson Fury is the best. AJ lost all belts. AJ by KO. So we're seeing some predictions from AJ here, which is great. This shows how close it is. George says, unless Fury is aggressive on the day, Deontay Wilder will come and win those champions. So he's not writing out Deontay Wilder. And then CRB1 says, fight's not happening, but you pretending for views. Well, It looks like it is. We've had it confirmed by Eddie Hearn, and we know that Eddie Hearn's been saying it for a very long time, but Frank Warren come out and said it yesterday as well about the 14th of August in Saudi Arabia, and we're waiting on Eid until it's confirmed. So we hope to prove you wrong on that one, because I'm sure you're with us in wanting the fight to happen. And
Yeah.
DJ M1 says, do you think Tyson will disrespect AJ in the build-up? Will that fire up AJ and backfire? That we've seen it with. There was a lot of whole talking point about with Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo the past week about if Billy Joe Saunders is rattling Canelo, will it work against him? Will it go for him? And obviously we know the result now. What do you think? Bit of trash talk, try and fire up AJ. How's that going to work throughout the months?
Yeah, you know, with Tyson, the trash talk's always going to be there. That's 100% guaranteed. I think Tyson thrives on stuff like that. You saw it with the Deontay Wilder. He loved winding him up. I think AJ, we saw it with Dominic Brazil. I remember when he fought him, that was the first time you saw AJ really. I know with Dillian White, they had that bit of beef, but apart from Dillian White, with Dominic Brazil, when he got a bit leery, and I think it was at a press conference or something like that, you saw a different side to Anthony Joshua. And then even on the Pulev, you saw it. There was a bit of I know Pulev was playing up a bit, but you saw AJ not taking any stick really. AJ, that could be a plan for Tyson. He's a bit hot-headed. Maybe try and take out his game plan like Billy Joe Saunders did with Canelo. I would like to see the build-up. I think that's going to be just as exciting as the fight, the tours and that, the press conferences, just to see what Anthony Joshua's reaction is. Obviously, we know what Tyson's going to be like. We've seen it time and time again. Antics, maybe people dressing up, all sorts of things going on. We're probably going to see things with the ring on a night or in the build-up. All this stuff's definitely going to happen. But what makes it interesting is probably going to be Anthony Joshua's reaction. I think everyone's going to be looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the styles. I'm going to be boring, really. I'm not going to say I think who's going to win, who's not going to win. I think what's so unique about this fight, there's about 3 or 4 different ways for both guys to win the fight. I think you've seen chinks in Tyson's game in his past. It's not like he's a fully polished fighter, like Floyd Mayweather. He was fully polished, wasn't really many weaknesses. You've seen Tyson's been vulnerable at times. He's been dropped. He's been times where you think maybe it's been a tough fight over 12 rounds earlier in his career. I know where he's more improved now, but you've seen weaknesses. And then Anthony Joshua, he got beat by Andy Ruiz. Dillian White rocked him. He's been rocked in a couple of big fights. So I think there's different ways for both guys to win. There's not one set way that I'd say, oh, Anthony Joshua's going to knock him out or Tyson Fury's going to knock him out. I think the beauty of this fight is the unknown, and I think that's what's great.
Yeah, 100%. And Lifetime Eon says AJ will do better than Wilder and Wallin. The big problem is AJ's stamina. Could that play a part in the fight, AJ's stamina?
You've seen AJ go over 12 rounds a few times. With Anthony Joshua, what I didn't like about it was when every time in his career there was a question to be answered, when he answered it, there was another negative. There wasn't congratulations for him. I remember when he was knocking everybody out, and then they said, oh, we can't go 12 rounds. He went 12 rounds with Joseph Parker. I thought he fought quite beautifully. It wasn't the aggressive AJ that everyone saw before where he went out and knocked him out. But what Anthony Joshua done there, he used his intelligence and thought, let me see if I can maybe go later in the fight, absorb some of my energy, trying to manage the rounds. That's what it's about, managing the rounds. You get a lot of fighters, you bang people out in 1 or 2 rounds and get to world level, you're in deep trouble after time, because once you get to like 6, 7, 8 rounds, you've not even been there before, because you've had 12 fights, 12 knockouts, or whatever your record might be at the time, but you've had no rounds. So, no, I think stamina, it may... Look, we don't know. Like I said, it's one of them fights, but I think Anthony Joshua's been 12 rounds enough times now. You've seen him get a second wind in the Klitschko fight when he got put down. He looked tired, come back to get the stoppage late in that fight. I'm not too sure. I don't think he will, but it depends what damage he takes. If Tyson puts it on him, like in the Deontay Wilder fight, AJ's on the back foot. He's there. He's getting leaned on quite a lot. Look, you never know in a fight. It could happen to both guys. Tyson's stamina might go. He's not fought in 18 months. He's ballooned. He's not gone up in weight dramatically, but obviously he's probably, the long layoff hasn't done him any favours. So, look, it's going to be a great fight. Tyson could knock out AJ. AJ could knock out Tyson. It's one of them fights. It's 50-50, like I said at the beginning of the show. And I don't know about you, Joe. How do you think it's going to go? Do you think it's going to play out in a certain way, or are you just open-minded?
Yeah, I'm open-minded first and foremost, but I think more than any other fight that I can think of at the moment, I think the first 3 rounds will play an absolutely huge part in the way the fight goes, because if Anthony Joshua finds a rhythm, which we haven't seen really anyone do against Tyson Fury, find that rhythm, then it will be so interesting to see Tyson Fury, how he reacts to kind of being outboxed himself. I'm not saying he will be outboxed. I'm saying, but if that is the case, it's unknown. It's really unknown. And I think Anthony Joshua has been through a lot. He's fought a lot of different styles, as has Tyson Fury. But I am slightly concerned, and I don't know if it will, but I'm concerned about Tyson Fury's layoff. I must say that I think it will be. Yeah, I think you was right, about 18 months since he last fought. Yeah, so yeah, 18 pushing 19 months. So yeah, that's big. That obviously he's been in shape for a long time. We've seen him all throughout fight week last week. We see him in the paper yesterday. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Bit of controversy there, but yeah, it's one that I really can't put my finger on. But I've just got a feeling that something special will happen, and that as long as something special does happen, just to top off this absolute huge fight, I really don't mind. There's 2 Brits going for the undisputed heavyweight champion, and to do that for the country is just absolutely amazing. And I'll just see Dom Roper here. Do you know who walks into the ring first? Do you think either really cares? So first of all, do we know? No, I think it was agreed from what Hearn has said. A coin toss, yeah. And do you think either really care? I think in both of them, hearts of hearts, I don't think they will care. But they will act like they care to try and play mind games throughout fight week. That's a whole completely different story. What's your take on the whole who walks to the ring first, Jay?
To be fair, I don't really care. Like I say, it's a 50-50 fight, so it really doesn't really matter. But what I think is going to be great for the fans is it's going to be 2 amazing ring walks. AJ has great ring walks. Tyson Fury's ring walks are always great. The crowd get involved. I don't know what the crowd will be like in Saudi. Is it 20,000? Is that what he's?
It's not confirmed yet. It's not confirmed, but we don't know.
Okay,
hopefully,
yeah.
We'll get we get as much people as possible to try and build that.
I just think, but I think both ring walks are going to be great. I don't know. I don't think both guys will matter. I think if you just do it the old school, just flip a coin on the night, we'll get it done. It won't really matter. I don't think it's going to give any guy the edge. It's, at the end of the day, a fight's a fight. It doesn't really matter who walks in first. But I just think, as a fan, I'm more on a selfish point. I'm just looking forward to the ring walks. Like you, Joe, I like a good ring walk. So
yeah, I love it. I love it.
And on a night like that, it's going to be absolutely huge. So yeah, no, I don't really care who walks in first. To be honest, all that nonsense is nothing to me.
We've seen AJ before in, obviously, I think it was the second Ruiz fight, be really focused in the ring walk, kind of like less glitz and glam and more business. Do you think there's a possibility that we might just see that, just like down to business, want to get in that ring and want to fight, or is it all about that showcase? Because at the end of the day, that is why Saudi want to bring this fight, because it is a showcase for their country.
Depends what mentality you take to that approach to that fight. You might get some fighters like you see Canelo at the weekend. He took it all. He was embracing it. He was enjoying it. Looked like that. Same with Billy Joe. He embraced it, even though most of the fans were booing it. AJ might come in with a stern face, but he might think, look, this is the biggest fight of my career. This is the fight I've been looking forward to. I'm going to embrace every moment. And I think AJ's that type of fighter that does like to embrace his surroundings and get the feeling of what's going on. But I wouldn't be surprised if he come in focused for that fight. I think Tyson Fury, what will we get? We've seen him when he has the dance music pumping and he's got the crowd going. But then we saw in his last fight when he had that song Crazy and it was all slow and it was like a different approach. So, yeah, whatever it's going to be emphatic. It's going to be great. It's going to be loud, extreme. It's just going to be a huge event. Look, these guys are making boxing history, and it's proud for UK boxing.
Oh yeah, 100%. And if the second fight does happen, I know they are contractually obliged, but if one of them chooses not to take the fight and chooses to move on, then there's a potential we won't see that fight, like we aren't seeing the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury third fight. But I think key for the first and second fight is quick turnaround, because we will want a quick turnaround. But like, if we, God forbid, we see a horrific injury like we saw in the big fight of the weekend between Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo, then it could be delayed. Because who knows what happens in a fight? Who knows what happens in a camp even? That we could see a delay. So for you, Jay, is it key to strike whilst the iron's hot and not miss out on a second fight if they both want that second fight, like we've missed out on Fury versus Wilder?
Yeah, cheers for that, Joe. Maybe cursing it by talking about the word delay. I hadn't even thought about someone getting the injury before the fight.
Sorry, guys.
That would be horrific. Yeah,
heartbreaking.
Oh, that would definitely be heartbreaking. Let's just get the first fight out of the way. You never know what's going to happen. Like you say, could an injury, big knockout. The commission, it's going to take a while if there's a big knockout, especially in heavyweights. They're going to make sure that the fight is all right. I think that if Tyson wins, there would be a quick turnaround. I think if AJ wins, I think if AJ beats Tyson Fury, there'll probably be a quick turnaround. I think if Tyson beats AJ, depending what scenario, it might take a bit longer. Just because I think that if Tyson wins, he'll want to get more active, because he's had, like we said, he's in activity. If he wins, he's going to be quite confident. I would have thought for the second fight. So, yeah, I think that, I think we definitely will see the first fight with no delays. But the second fight, I think that's just going to be a bit greedy if we talk about that at the moment. I think, let's just get this first one out of the way and then see what goes on then. And like I said earlier, I'm excited about the heavyweight division now that this fight could be announced any day now. I think that the Joe Joyce fight, Usyk fight, will probably be announced in the next couple of weeks. The RBF eliminator with Hrgovic, whoever's going to come involved. We've seen Eddie talk about that earlier today as well. I'm just excited now because the heavyweight division, I think, even though we had Dillian White against Povetkin, I think it's gone a bit stale because White, he had to get the revenge. Do you know what I mean? If he beat Povetkin last year, the ball would have been rolling, but it was like it was going backwards. We had to kind of catch up again. The Pulev fight was meant to happen in 2017, so that kind of dragged down. It wasn't like it was an exciting fight. So I think now that this fight can be announced, it's something to look forward to. We can look forward to the other fights, like I said, with the WBO mandatory and with the RBF mandatory. It's just making the heavyweight division more exciting. And some big fights could be announced pretty soon as well. So everyone loves a good heavyweight slugfest, don't they, Joe? That's what they want to see. They want to see two big heavyweights knocking two bells out of each other. So yeah, let's get it going.
Definitely, let's get this going. Let's get these comments coming in. Hit that like button, smash the subscribe button. Pep Talk UK, breaking news this afternoon, heading into the evening. So we thought we'd jump on and give you our thoughts. But another thing that I picked up on through this interview we're talking about with IFL TV, like 39-minute interview, great interview with Eddie Hearn, is he said that Undercard subject to discussion. It was only, I think, what was it, Tuesday? We was discussing the undercard and potential dream fights we'd like to see on the undercard, and I've seen a few comments come out of it today, out of the chat today about undercard, and he mentioned 4 promotional companies in that, and he mentioned Matchroom, obviously, Eddie Hearn's, with Queensbury Promotions, Frank Warren's, Top Rank, Bob Aaron's, and the management company MTK. And just those 4 companies alone unlock a whole host of fantastic fights that could be made. He said, I think 7 or 8 fights he'd like to see, so which is standard. And I kind of rethought, because we were saying how much we'd love this world title fight after this world title fight after this world title fight. I kind of think, if I'm being honest, I may have been unrealistic. I don't think we're going to get world title fight after world title fight. We may get one on the undercard because it's such a huge, huge fight and huge event in its own right that they may not need him to put on the undercard like they would, like we saw for the Chisora Park one, for example. It was a weaker pay-per-view main event, so we got a stacked undercard. So with that in mind, I thought, what a fantastic night for the best prospects from each promotional company, and it would be a huge opportunity. Maybe those prospects heading into contender, those fringe fighters, and just to announce them on the world stage. What do you think, Jay? Could that be the way forward, or are you still thinking that we're going to get a couple of world title fights on this?
We're definitely going to get some bangers on there. I think you're going to have to. If Eddie, the price plan's probably going to be £30. I think it's going to be $29.99 for the pay-per-view. I don't think it's going to be more than that, but I definitely think it's going to be higher than the $24.99. Normally goes up by about a fiver each time. So he's going to have a big card. I think, look, Saudis have got the money. They're going to have enough money for a decent undercard. If you want, we can go through maybe some extra fights today that we would like to see on there, because obviously we done only 3 the other night, I think it was. Maybe some other fights we can talk about that we could like to see on there. I think there will be at least 3 world title fights on there, Joe. I think it'd be AJ Fury for the undisputed. I think maybe the co-main, maybe a world title, and then maybe a women's world title. So
yeah, potentially.
Because if you think about it, I don't know what women's boxing is like in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to get into politics at the moment, but I think there was an issue before, wasn't there, about women fighting on the AJ card before, but there wasn't. I think it would be a great, outstanding breakthrough if we could have a women's world title. Shannon Courtney versus Rachel Ball, that would be fantastic. A women's world title fight on that card. So I think maybe that fight could fit on to the undercard there, Joe. I don't think that's too far out there for that fight to be made. I know that's not co-promotions. That's just Matchroom. But yeah, there's some great fights out there. Maybe David Adelaide against a heavyweight on the Matchroom stable. That could be a good fight out there. I don't know whether who's out there coming to mind, but there's obviously a few names out there. You've obviously got people like Nathan Gorman who could probably have a fight out there. I would like to see maybe David Adelaide versus Dave Allen if he's coming back. I don't know how serious Dave Allen's talking about coming back, if it's just a little 4-rounders or whatnot, but tell Dave Allen now to train from now till August. You got to fight against David Adelaide. Could get a British title shot after that. I'd like to see the White Rhino after about a good 3 months training, getting his nut down, a good fight to get into. That's one for the viewers maybe to. Would you like to see that? I think that's a banger. Got a banger written all over it. You saw David Adelaide struggle in his last fight. What fights would you like to see on the undercard, Joe? I know you're saying you don't think there'll be world title fights, but
I think there might be one, maybe like a lighter division one, like potentially like, because obviously we saw Soto, a lighter division for the co-feature. So going down the female division, female fights, I don't know. Good point, fantastic point. I kind of forgot about that, about the politics of Saudi Arabia, and I'm like you, I don't want to go into politics at all, but hopefully we can get a female fight. And one that comes to mind for me that has been spoken about is thinking about the cross-promotional fights. I'd like to see, because I don't think we will see Marshall Shields on the undercard of that as much as we'd like to, because Eddie
I think she's got an MMA fight, Joe. I think Clarissa Shields got an MMA fight, yeah.
I think Eddie Hearn said he was in talks with Clarissa for after the fight. To go straight into the Marshall fight, but he said he wants to put it on its own show. It's a standout feature that could absolutely do amazing things for women's boxing. So I was looking at cross promotional. I think a good one could be Michaela Meyer versus Terry Harper. I know she's injured. I think I could see that one. Or I love Cine Estrada. Is that how you pronounce it? She's world champion. Yeah, there's some really good fights to be made in the female.
That Martinez fight you said the other day, didn't you? That'd be a good fight.
Yeah, Sonny Edwards versus Julio Cesar Martinez, and that for me
that could be a world.
Would be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic, because action packed, and it will literally be style-wise so interesting to watch. I don't know for the casual fan thinking about it, because Julio Cesar Martinez is totally made for casual fans. Literally, the way he fights, and then it'd be so interesting to see the slick movements in and out of range from Sonny Edwards. It'd be an absolute joy to watch and see if Sonny Edwards could beat Julio Cesar Martinez, because if he does do that, but that would be absolutely huge, and it would be a great win, setting up this huge mammoth fight between two giant Brits. So I do think, although it's a cross-promotional show, I think it's key to have a running theme of Brits. I do think a running theme of Brits. And guess
I've got
what?
another one for you, Joe.
Go on, Jay.
Sorry,
Go on,
Joe.
Jay. No, go on, mate.
Felix Clash, Liam Williams for the British title. I think that would be a great one for that card.
Yeah, be fantastic. But again, I don't know. I don't get me wrong. I love that fight. I really want that to happen. Two things. I don't know whether Williams will want to come down to that again. I hope he does, just so we see the fight. And I think he may, like, they may, from Frank Warren's perspective, or no, it isn't actually, because Felix Clash is with Eddie Hearn, actually. Yeah. So that'd be a perfect opportunity to see that. That'd be really,
Liam Williams, I saw Frank's interview, and he said he only give up the British title on the word that he was guaranteed after this fight to fight for that title again, and if he wanted to in his next fight. So, like you say, it's down to Liam Williams, but I think he would. To be on the Fury AJ build sells itself. So you would fight anyone on that build. So I think for the British title, I don't know if you have to fight in Britain for it to be for the British title. I guess I don't know. Maybe you could have the commission out there.
Yeah, it has to be under the auspices of the British Boxing Board of Control, like we saw in Gibraltar. We had the British title fight between Ted Cheeseman and Metcalf.
Yeah, so they probably will be out there. I would have thought for the Fury AJ fight, two British fighters. So I would have thought they probably would be out there. But if it can be made, I just think that's a good fight that'd be on there. If Taylor gets a win in the first round against Ramirez, I know it might not get on there. That's too big of a fight, Josh Taylor. But is his mandatory Jack Cottrell?
Jack Catterall, yeah.
Catterall, sorry. Yeah, so that's co-promotion. Maybe that could be a big fight. That would probably be on its own bill. I'm just thinking of fantasy fights here now because you said co-promotion. You've got me coming up with all these mad, crazy fights, Joe.
100%. And I'm just trying to find this comment because I hadn't thought of this, but I think it'd be absolutely fantastic. Jazz Dinsa, well done. Dennis McCann versus Prince Patel.
Oh, yeah, I'm all over that.
Come on, that would be absolutely fantastic. Add to the build-up. Dennis McCann's from a travelling background as well. Like we said, so Tyson Fury, little connection there. And we said potentially about an Isaac Lowe Jordan Gill fight, maybe a bit lower down the card. I think that'd be absolutely really, really good.
Lyndon Arthur versus Buatsi. I reckon that could be a good fight for a world title eliminator.
Oh God, Jesus Christ! Yeah, we're bringing out some fantastic cross promotion.
Viewers, get your fights out there as well, like you did with that Dennis McCann. That was a great shout.
And come on, try and bring them in for us. Look, another one from Jazz. Zach Parker versus John Ryder. We've got cross promotional fighters coming in now, and just slightly moving away from Joshua Fury. It just shows that the fights can be made. These fights are fantastic fights if the promoters just work together. It'd be absolutely brilliant. Look at these mouth-watering fights. That it's only gonna make the sport better. Certainly in the UK, if we see Queensbury and Matchroom work together on a more regular basis. So fingers crossed it happens, and I hope that we use this fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury not only as a huge event that will bring the nation together for a boxing event, which is something we so rarely see. But I hope the two promoters can use it as a stepping stone to work together in the future.
Yeah, 100%. I think it will. I think, look, if you look before when this fight got started, Frank and Eddie had, Frank and Eddie had a really, really bad relationship. I think since then, you've seen it in the press and that they're not really giving each other much stick. I think it's taken a deal like this to actually get them talking, working with each other, and probably trusting each other a little bit. When there's no trust, you're not going to work with someone. So I think now getting a deal like this done, which probably will be the biggest deal in boxing history, probably, I think there's going to be an element of trust, and they're probably going to work with each other more often in the future. Like, let's get real. They both want the same things in the game. They want the big fights, and you got to work together, I'm afraid. So I think now they've knocked their heads together. They've got this fight rolling. I think, yeah, big fights in the future, 100%. It's very intriguing. I think it's a great opportunity for other fighters, because there's been fights over the years that haven't been made because of promotions, arguments about what TV station it's going to be on. So yeah, let's get everyone working together. Let's get all the best fights made for boxing, and let's get this sport bigger and better than ever. And that's what you're going to get, working together and making the biggest fights.
Definitely. I echo every single word you just said there, Jay. And Haydar Mahmood comes in with a good one. Gamal Yafai versus Brad Foster for the EBU. Obviously, Yafai's got to come through a fight this weekend on the Buatsi undercard. So, yeah, all these great fights. But just going back to the fight for a second. Maybe, well, you said it went a bit stale, didn't it? People were getting fed up. And people are still fed up. I've got to be honest. People are still fed up about hearing this fight, even now. And unless they see it with their own eyes, they look on Instagram and they see Matru post, bang, it's there. I wonder what slogan they've got this time. That's all the things I can't wait to see. Those little finishing touches that I'm so excited for. Do you think it did run the risk of going a bit stale, Jay, over the past couple of weeks, or did you always think that as soon as that fight's announced, everyone's going to be on board once again?
I think what it was, it maybe not so much the fight going stale. I think it was getting to the point where we just want to see each guy fight, no matter who it was. At the beginning, we wanted them just to fight them two, but then as it was dragging on, I was just getting to the point where, look, these guys ain't even fighting. I know AJ had a fight in December, but Tyson hasn't fought for so long. I'm a great fan of Tyson. So I just want to see Tyson Fury fight. I'm a big fan of AJ. I want to see him fight. But yeah, it was getting to the point where I just wanted to see an announcement for either guy to get excited just to see him fight. But now that Eddie's come out with this, I'm not confused, and it is an announcement, as I think Eddie's playing on what Frank said. Frank said, if the contract and everything's agreed, it will be on the 14th. And I think Eddie's kind of like thinking, all right, well, I'm going to try and say that the fight's announced without getting in trouble, because Eddie always gets himself in trouble for announcing things too soon. And he went, oh, well, yeah, I can agree with Frank on one thing. It is on the 14th. But what Frank really said is, if things get agreed, it will be on the 14th. So, yeah, Eddie's done quite well there. But like I said, I thought it was going to be announced last week at the Canelo fight. It wasn't. Definitely thought it was going to be announced this week. So hearing about it today is fantastic. But like you, I think the formal announcement will probably be Monday. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's an announcement Saturday, and we'll be seeing things during the Sky Show, like about the AJ Fury AJ, whatever way you want to put it. You'll be hearing about it probably on social media during the day, Saturday maybe, and then obviously Eddie talking about it on the TV. So yeah, it was going a bit stale, but yeah, we can get our teeth back into it. But I just wanted to see either guy fight anyone, as all you lot would have probably thought. The viewers, you probably just wanted to see Tyson Fury back in the ring. I know you probably did, Joe. So yeah, look, let's just get these guys fighting. I just want to see the biggest, the baddest fights out there, and that's it. And this is the biggest and baddest fight out there. So let's rock and roll. Let's get it going. And look, come on, Joe. You've not actually said who do you think's going to win? You've been on the fence. You've not really said.
I stick on. I've got to stay on the fence here.
Well, who are you favouring? Who would you say you would favour then? Not who you would.
I've got I've got a sore bottom from the splinters off the fence. Don't worry. No, it's fine. I genuinely don't know. I think they've both got. We've said it a number of times. They've both got the styles that could cause each other problems, and every day I wake up thinking a different thing. I've got to be honest. I genuinely do, because I say about a week ago, I'll be honest, I thought I was going to knock him out. I really did. I just had a feeling. I just had a feeling that late on, Fury could switch off, because, as I said, it's all about those first 3 rounds. And if Fury finds so much success, then it does run a risk of Fury switching off, because we've only seen him be knocked down when he switched off. Even against Cunningham, it was when he switched off, right? So, but then I thought, no, he ain't going to switch off in this absolute massive fight, and Fury's going to get the points decision. So for me, there's so many ways it can go, and it's just so hard for me to say because obviously I love both of them. I really do. I probably grew up more with AJ, obviously, because the Olympics, that 2012 Olympics was the first time I watched boxing in the Olympics. And obviously, I remember I was a big fan of a go-go in the Olympics. I remember 2012, I was a big fan of a go-go. But obviously, we had Joshua. And then I remember his pro debut. I think the only fight I've missed, which I didn't watch live on the television or at the arena, was the Parker fight. That's the only fight. So I've been there for most of his fights. I just think he's great for the sport, and he's boosted British boxing by a hell of a lot. And then we moved to Tyson Fury. We moved to Tyson Fury, and again, it's one of the fights that I can pinpoint from turning me to a casual to a hardcore is the Klitschko Tyson Fury fight, because I think it will turn a lot of people off, that fight, because it weren't the most exciting fight. But I was just mesmerised how a British guy with he didn't have the body of a Klitschko, of an Anthony Joshua. Obviously, he was in great shape, but he wasn't made out of stone. He wasn't chiseled. And I just thought, wow, what a fantastic achievement. And then from then on, I was really big Fury fan. As I mentioned before, one of the first fights I ever watched on the television was the first fight between Chisora and Fury, their first fight. So I am really stuck for this one. I'll be happy whatever the result is, and I do love Fury's story, the way he come back, and I that really did get on board with that. And
yeah, I agree, Joe.
Yeah, go on, Joe.
What I'd say is there's a lot of questions that's what makes this fight interesting, isn't it? With Tyson Fury, I agree. The Klitschko fight was a great fight, and he fought the way you needed to beat Klitschko on that evening. So, look, it wasn't beautiful, but it got the job done, and he was victorious. With Tyson Fury, the questions I've always had with him is when he's been hurt, like you say, it's when he's switched off. But he hasn't actually been in there with someone I know, people argue Deontay Wilder, he's got knockout power, but he's like a one-punch knockout artist. He's not one of them that when he hurts you, he then comes on you with an assault and takes you out. It's normally one big punch, you're out of there. That's why I was intrigued to watch David Haye versus Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury's got great recovery. What happens with Tyson Fury, which most fighters it doesn't happen to, is when Tyson Fury gets hurt, he can recover very well. And he could lose maybe that round or even win that round and then come into the fight stronger. So that's a good attribute Tyson's got. But when he's been dropped, with Cunningham or other fighters he's been dropped by, they haven't really had that killer instinct like what David Haye would have had. And what Joshua's got, he's got that as well. When he hurts you, he lets his hands go. He likes to let his hands go, AJ. And when he hurts you, he's probably one of the most devastating finishers out there. He hits you with uppercuts, right hooks, left hooks. He comes in really strong. So it'd be interesting to see if he gets Fury hurt, can he get him out of there? But then with Wilder, like I said, that punch on Fury was more like a concussive punch. He knocked him down. When he got back up, he recovered. So it'd be interesting to see if he got dropped or he got really badly rocked and he's in the corner taking loads of punches, if he can recover with someone like an Anthony Joshua. And like I said, when he fought David Haye, I would have been intrigued to see if he would have been able to recover if David Haye got him hurt. But yeah, like you say, there's different outcomes. But I think with Anthony Joshua, I think his best chance is going to be a single punch. I think it'd be like with Canelo at the weekend. Because what I think is, let's keep it real here. Tyson Fury is the superior boxer. He's the better boxer. AJ's got great boxing skills, great boxing attributes. He's at a world-class level at boxing, but Tyson Fury is known as the boxer. So let's say I don't think Anthony Joshua's going to outbox Tyson Fury. So what I think it might be like I said earlier with the tactics that Canelo used at the weekend. yeah, come down to them single shots. I think it'd be Tyson coming forward with some of that aggression with Wilder, but trying to be slick. And I think what AJ needs to do, instead of using his energy as much, just try and pop him with the single shot, come up with that uppercut, come up with a straight right hand. And I think that's what could win it for AJ.
Yeah, for me, I think the way the fight plays out, no worries there, Jay. The way the fight plays out is widely down to Fury. It's widely down to Fury, unless AJ comes out boxing absolutely superbly in those first 3 rounds, like I said earlier. So the key is, if Fury can keep him at range for the whole fight, it may not be the most pretty fight, then obviously you've got to say Fury. But whether AJ can work the fight inside, which is something he's done like really, really well against Klitschko, and I think he was underrated. That part of his performance was underrated in like making it an inside fight. And interesting to see the body shots thrown from AJ. I've only just thought of that. The body shots thrown from AJ, it's dangerous from AJ, but we haven't seen too many people try and do Tyson Fury with the body shots.
I do agree.
I think Chisora tried to do it. Obviously, he didn't. He failed, but I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know, and I think a massive thing, I do keep coming back to it, is two things from both sides of the fight. We've got Fury's inactivity, and we've got Joshua's loss in Rob McCracken. I know he will be in the corner on the night for anyone who's just come in. The Olympic finishes on the 7th, but the whole preparation, don't forget, Rob McCracken is the head coach of Team GB, so he needs to play a big part in that setup. So obviously they've balanced it well in the past, but now let's see what this relationship's really made of, because the last thing I want, I don't care what the result is of the fight, the last thing I would ever like to see is excuses. That's the one wish. I don't want to see excuses after the fight. And right there's a potential for an excuse either side. Fury not being able to fight in what will be 18 to 19 months by the time they get in the ring. And Joshua not having a full camp with his head trainer, Rob McCracken. I don't know about you, Jay, but that is one thing I really dislike in boxing: excuses.
I think with these two guys, there ain't going to be excuses. See, when Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, there was issues there. There's issues there for everyone to see, and we've not heard any excuses from that evening. So I don't think there will be any excuses for that. I think going into this fight, look, Tyson Fury ain't going to take Anthony Joshua lightly. As much as he likes to come out and say like he's a dosser or like he's a bum, and he actually, that, like he says about everyone, he's taking him serious. Tyson Fury loves boxing. He's a historian. He's got great boxing knowledge. And if you listen to his dad says he thinks that his son will beat Anthony Joshua, but Anthony Joshua is the best person out there that's out there. That's what he said. That's the only guy. He thinks nothing against Anthony Joshua. He's got all respect for him, and he's the best out of all the other heavyweights. He just thinks his son's going to beat him. So he knows that Anthony Joshua is a great fighter. I remember years ago when Tyson Fury sparred Anthony Joshua, I think when Anthony Joshua was an amateur or just as he come out of the Olympics. I can't quite remember, but Tyson Fury saying, watch this guy, he's going to be a future heavyweight champion. So Tyson knows what dangers AJ's probably going to come with. I think Tyson Fury's either going to come forward like the Deontay Wilder fight, or he's going to do the same tactic, like you said, against Klitschko. I think he's going to try and come in close, stop the right hand. He done that, to be fair, that's the tactic he done against Deontay Wilder in the first fight. If you watch it back, he got in close, stopped Wilder getting that range to throw that right hand, smothered the right hand, really. That's basically what he done. Same as with Klitschko. Smothered the right hand so he couldn't get the right hand off. And basically with fighters like that, it just nulled their game plan. But with AJ, I think, like you said, with his work on the inside, I think if Tyson does get on the inside, that would be an intriguing battle to see AJ working the body maybe, we've seen AJ's uppercuts. I think he's got one of the best uppercuts in boxing, to be honest. We see it when he done it with Dillian White, a game changer. Klitschko nearly knocked his head out. Povetkin hit him with some good uppercuts. I just think AJ's uppercuts could be key here, because I think Tyson Fury, if he's coming close like he did in the Klitschko and Wilder 1 fight, AJ could take a step back or just meet him in the middle with that uppercut. If Tyson for a big guy likes to dip down low as well, because he don't want the overhand right in that. And as we saw at the weekend with that uppercut by Canelo, you don't always have to go up through the middle and hit him right in on the chin. Hip height, if they're ducking down and you can get them at a good angle, you can get them at different angles. But I think Tyson, he's going to work on AJ's, trying to get AJ on the back foot. He's going to try and push him back. It's intriguing. I think no excuses are going to be made. I think it's a battle of styles. It's a battle of will. It's going to be like gladiator style. Best man's going to win, and then congratulations to who does. I just think we've been waiting for these heavyweights of all time, and when you get people saying, who do you prefer, Fury or AJ, or people say, oh, you can't like both, that's like saying you can't like Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson. They're in the same era, but you get people nowadays loving both of them. Like, come on, let's both appreciate both guys. Obviously, you're going to get people who prefer other people. That's just as life. But let's not put any disrespect on any of the guys' name. Let's put as much respect on them, as much respect on boxing. And like I said, Joe, this is just good for boxing. It's good for us to be discussing it. Good for the viewers to be looking forward to stuff like this. And it's just great. I'm just so excited.
Yes, so am I. I'm absolutely ecstatic that this looks like it's finally getting over the line, and I do pray that nothing dramatic happens over the next couple of days, which means it's delayed once again. And I'm just trying to find it. I just saw a really interesting comment here, which I know you have an opinion on, Jay, because we've spoke about it in the past. I think maybe even off camera. Nick Harmer says, I hope AJ wins the first fight. I don't trust Fury for the rematch if he wins. Do you think that there is a danger that if Fury wins the fight, we won't see the rematch, or even if AJ wins the fight on Fury's part, we won't see the rematch? Because you've said before that win, lose or draw, this could be Fury's last fight.
With Fury, it's just, his character. It's a bit like Derek Chisora in the fact that it's unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, after the Klitschko fight, he reached the mountain. But no, I actually do think Tyson will give it to him. He's been saying quite adamantly he wants another 2 fights after this. So I think, I think he's got his goals. I think now that he's come back, he's got things that he's aiming to do. Sorry, Joe. So I think that definitely Tyson will carry on fighting. I think I was worried about it, but thinking about it now, no, I think he will give him a return. Okay, then.
So we'll look at both fighters, and let us know in the comments here. Smash that like button, Pep Talk UK. But let us know. We'll go through both fighters now. First of all, we'll start off with Anthony Joshua. If he wins both fights, then where do you think Anthony Joshua goes for the next? Well, I don't know. For the foreseeable future, what does he do next in the heavyweight division? Because he's reached the top. He has beat the number 1 or the number 2, whatever way you rank those two. So where does Anthony Joshua go if he wins both fights?
I think whoever wins both fights, if they do win both fights, I think they should retire. And I think personally, if it's 1-1 after both fights, I think they should both retire after the third fight, because I think they would have had 3 absolute epic wars, 2-1 against the best in the world. Look, when you become undisputed, where do you go after that? Like, when you unify and get undisputed, all 4 titles, unless in the lower weights, you just see people just go up and they go and try and conquer the next weight up. Heavyweights, there's nowhere else to go. Look at Lennox Lewis. Once you get to the top in the heavyweight game, I don't see the ambition, because you've collected every title, you fought the best. No offense, you got Dillian White out there. That's a big fight, but for AJ, does he really necessarily need that? I don't know. AJ said he wants to fight for another 5 years as well, so I don't know. I personally, if I was Anthony Joshua and I won both fights, I would retire.
Okay, yeah. All right then. and we said Tyson Fury. You think he said he'd like that one more fight if he does beat AJ? Because
I think if he lost, Tyson would retire. I think if Tyson lost, no, I think if Tyson lost, he would probably honour it and go for the rematch to try and get it back.
Yeah.
I think if he lost two, I think he would definitely retire. Obviously, if he lost both fights to Anthony Joshua, I think Tyson would retire then.
Okay, then, yeah, and just seeing, as Mario Suva says, I think if Fury wins, he retires. No rematch. And
yeah, it's interesting. It could happen.
It's a possibility because he just say, right, I want to bow out, but he will want to give Anthony Joshua the rematch. He will want to give him that opportunity to right the wrong because he understands it. Because at the end of the day, I don't think it was down to Fury about the Wilder thing. I've got to be honest. I think that was pandemic timing wise, and it just didn't materialize. And because at the end of the day, he knows it is because they managed to negotiate the rematch with Wilder the first time after the draw. So I think, and as well, a lot of it may come down to money because if we've got a fantastic fight in that first fight, the second fight will do even better numbers. Literally, so it could, even if Fury, that's where it comes over what your priorities are, like whether it's money or fighting. And I think with Fury, because he said for years and years he's a fighting man, he's not bothered about the money, all about legacy, and same as Joshua. But when it comes down to hundreds of millions of pounds, that's what we're talking about now. Then you may be persuaded otherwise, Jay.
Yeah, well, even in the first fight, I know people won't like to hear it, but if there's a controversial ending in the first fight, like say, I don't know, AJ rocks Fury and the ref steps in too soon or something, or vice versa, and like a bit like the Cole Frotcher and George Groves fight. Imagine if something like that happened. So the second fight will be huge. Like the Cole Frotch George Groves 2 fight, that was bigger than the first fight. Hopefully nothing like that happens. I don't like to see that. But if something like that does happen, I do like to take a spin on it and try and make something positive and try and make it into a bigger fight than the first fight. But I don't like to see it. But look, that could happen. Worse things have happened. Look at that Soto fight at the weekend. The ref just got in the middle and stopped it. So hopefully there's no controversy. But I think the second fight, depending how the first fight ends, could be huge.
Yeah, and talking about controversy, like, I would not like to be the referee for that fight. No. Genuinely, if you make, and even a judge, if you make one mistake, the whole world is watching, and it potentially ruined what would have been an absolutely fantastic fight. And then Alex UK87 has, I think Fury fights Wilder for a warm-up, between now and August the 14th. Jay, what do you think on that?
I don't know. That's just shook me, that one. No, of course it ain't gonna have a warm-up fight. I think it's going to be resolved in the next few days. I've heard that there's going to be a statement, so I'm not too sure. I think that what would happen will be Fury AJ 1 and 2, and that'll be it. Wilder, I would think, probably going to be looking at the fight people like Andy Ruiz, people like that. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if Pavett can come back to fight a Wilder. I think Wilder will want a sort of fight like that. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Wilder come back soon, but it won't be against Fury.
Yeah, definitely. And Nick Harmer comes in. I hope they win one each. Call me greedy. I want a trilogy. And I'm not joking. The more fights between these means the more events and the more likely it is to have fun in the UK. Because just to say, you was at Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Jesus Christ, it'd be absolutely ecstatic. Like it'd be amazing. Like I can't even think like the event it would be and the build up in the UK.
The people, like the celebrities will probably be there. Everyone will be out. That's the sort of fight that people around the world will come to. You'll get massive American boxers, international boxers. I think you'll get UFC fighters, football players, actors. That's the sort of fight that would attract them sort of people. That's when you know it's worldwide.
Yeah, 100%. And something that interested me, like I was just looking at about this whole like uh, the the COVID restrictions in the UK being calmed, like being relaxed over the next couple of months, and obviously on Monday we see the next stage of that happening, which means like inside you can eat and drink inside, all that all being social distance with masks on, and we're talking about these press conferences, a press conference tour. Do you think they'll wait until June the 21st, Jay, where they can, where all the restrictions, hopefully, God willing, have been lifted, so they don't have to worry about capacities? They'll just fill it up as much as you want, and they go, boom, there's press conferences. Or will they want to do it as fast as possible?
Well, they'll probably get some in the UK starting already, probably some in America with Fury, I would have thought. And then obviously in June, just get the world ones going. I'm not too sure, to be honest, Jar, but I think they probably will start doing stuff pretty soon. Maybe if you see it online or whatever, you see the press conferences nowadays, they'll probably get them started. Any publicity for this fight's going to be huge. So, yeah, I think things will be happening. You'll probably see some public events with small crowds or limited people just to get the word out there. You'll see TV appearances. And then in June, you'll start seeing it cranking up a little bit. And I think in maybe in about a month's time, that's when you'll start seeing it proper crank up.
Yeah, no, and I hope so, because I think even if they do just like one massive press conference where they come to face, like in London or Manchester, when all the COVID, when or if, and hopefully the COVID restrictions are relaxed completely, and then we'll see, an event in itself. We will see an absolute major event in itself, and we're not going to go on too much longer tonight. We'll wrap it up in the around 8 o'clock. I think we're going to wrap it up. Just a short one tonight, bringing you up to date news about Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, because it is the biggest thing in boxing at the moment. It is the biggest thing in boxing, and there's so much to look forward to now, guys. We're going to be bringing you loads of live streams over the coming weeks, months, all about all the biggest fights, everything, breaking news, absolutely everything we've got. So make sure you hit that like, subscribe to Pep Talk UK. And
there's
just
a couple of fights this weekend as well, isn't there?
Yeah,
there's obviously the Bratzy card.
Yeah, go on, Jay.
Lovejoy's on. Manuel Char, that's the fight at the weekend. So there's a few events going on this weekend, people. So, like Joe said, we'll be bringing you lots of news and then coverage of big fights in the future. So yeah, everyone tune in.
Yeah, 100%. And what's your closing words on today's news, Jay? What's your final thoughts? Just a little summary of what we know, or what we think we know. 14th of August, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Go on, Jay. What is it, mate?
Pencil it in. 14th of August. Make sure that you got nothing booked in that day. I think that's probably going to be the date set in. So let's look forward to the official announcement. I think everyone wants to see that poster, like you say. It's going to be an iconic poster. I think that's going to be there in years to come, that everyone's going to think, yeah, that was the time Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury got it on. So yeah, look, it's exciting times. We've heard a bit more about it. You've heard Anthony Joshua at the beginning of the week talking. When you hear Anthony Joshua talk, things normally happen. So look, let's get this fight done, dusted, officially sealed. But look, I'm happy. You're happy. I think a lot of people are happy about it. Pencil it in your diaries. And look, this is going to be a great event, great for boxing, and it's going to be a massive night. So yeah, happy me tonight, Joe. So what about you? 100%. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better myself, and I don't want to follow up that little monologue there, Jay, because that was absolutely fantastic. And as ever, when I talk to you about this huge fight, I always get that little bit more excited. And you think that we're excited now. I can't imagine what I'm going to be like on the 13th of August, the morning of the 14th of August. I just counting down the days counting down the minutes until we see Anthony
just the
Joshua,
weigh-ins or the press conference,
Fury
all that.
Get in the ring. Oh mate, honestly, it's going to be
amazing.
It's going to be unbelievable. So
I want a face-off between Frank and Eddie before I go. So you see Tyson and AJ and then Eddie and Frank either side, just like
wow, yeah,
face to face. There's going to be a
brilliant.
picture. That's what I'm saying. This is going to be iconic
wow.
moments all over. So,
yeah. And then, like, instead of trainers, it will be Frank Smith and Francis Warren just behind them.
Look, that's the undercard. We've already got it, Joe. We've got the undercard. We've got it sorted.
Proper. Absolutely fantastic. Guys, smash that like button. Thank you so much for watching tonight. As ever, Pep Talk UK. Jay, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Insta at J Alby 1989 and also here on Pep Talk UK. Cheers for having me tonight. It's always a pleasure. And on to the next one.
On to the next one. We'll let you know when the next one is. But thank you very much. I've been Joe Pugh. You can get me at JoePugh1309 on Instagram. Make sure you follow Pep Talk UK and Pro Bees, the man who makes this all happen. Thanks as ever to the chat. Great comments tonight. For the most part, it's been absolutely brilliant. And we'll see you soon.
Cheers.